Representative Hawkins, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank
With
you.
your introduction, we'll be on our way.
Dale Hawkins, Legislative District 2, that's Clearwater, Benawah, Shoshone, portion of Kootenai, a portion of Bonner County. Big district. I'm here this morning with House Bill 295, the Administrator Leadership Apprenticeship Program. Is being introduced to help Idaho, well, we're not in the introduction phase, but introduced to help Idaho school districts that are struggling to find qualified administrators, particularly in rural areas. Many districts face increasing difficulties in recruiting school principals and superintendents, leaving critical leadership gaps that impact student success. This legislation expands the pipeline of eligible candidates by allowing experienced professionals from other industries, including military office, private sector executives, nonprofit leaders, and government officials, to transition into school leadership roles. To ensure quality and accountability, applicants must be sponsored by a public school district or local education agency and must complete the leadership training program at a regionally accredited Idaho-based higher education institution before becoming eligible for certification. So some of the questions that I got before, there was a thought that maybe we were going to let people in that weren't qualified. At least that's what I got. But, you know, eligibility requirements for principals still must hold at least a bachelor's degree. Superintendents must still hold at least a master's degree. They still have to be sponsored. The biggest issue behind this bill for me is this. When I saw the apprenticeship program that we were operating for teachers that has helped rural areas greatly, I thought, well, why won't this work for this? I know for a fact that we have about 13 positions that are open going into the next school year. And I know even in our own, I think I mentioned it before, in our own school district 41, we had a gap and they had to hire an agency and seek outside the state of Idaho to get somebody in. Well, oftentimes what happens, I'm not saying this in our district, but we wind up getting people from out of state that may have the skills required, but they're not always the best fit for the community. And this allows these communities to raise up people from within the community who might be interested and in the process save them money and wind up with people who are dedicated to the area and the principles that are there. And I had a whole bunch more here to read, but I don't want to violate the chairman's 5 minutes, so.
Thank you, Representative Hawkins and the committee. And I would remind the committee, you know, it's been stated that perhaps we've had partial bill hearings and RS introductions, so I don't see a need to replow the same ground that was covered in some of those hearings, and I would ask you to respect that in your questioning. But questions for Representative Hawkins, committee? Representative Church.
Thank you, Chairman. Representative Hawkins. And I'm wondering, going off of our conversations last time, is there a specific school district, or is there are you finding that this is across the board? Because as we indicated last time, it's not a lack of certified individuals. Looking at the report that came out earlier this year, there are 2,920 people in Idaho who hold admin certifications, and just under 1,500 individuals. So that's, I mean, there are 1,421 people that hold the certificate necessary to be a superintendent. So, you know, are they just not finding their places, or what is the issue in the districts that you've looked at?
Representative Hawkins.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Church, since the RS, what I've learned is there have been a lot of people who take these courses to achieve these accreditations without the intention of going on. I think that could be part of it. I'm not saying that's all of it. I think also it could be the fact that some of these smaller communities maybe aren't the right fit, or it could be a financial barrier. I'm not sure. I do not know why we have 13 going into the next time, 13 open positions now. I can't tell you why they're not applying. But I know in our own situation in District 41, they had to hire, I don't know, headhunters to go out and seek and find people from out of state. So I can't answer the question why they're not doing it.
Hey, Representative Church, follow up.
Yeah, one follow-up, thank you. Maybe it's another question. Have the institutes, the universities indicated support for this kind of alternative route for administrators?
Representative Hawkins.
From the institutions themselves, I haven't gotten any input. They haven't reached out. I know that some other people have looked at it, and as organizations, they're kind of half on one side, half on the other, so they've not come out with an opinion per se. I mean, what we do know is this. We have a gap. We have an issue. Small communities are the ones suffering. If we can offer an alternative path for them to get what they need, I think that we should be willing to try.
Representative Ahart.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to send House Bill 295 to the floor with the due pass recommendation.
Thank you for that motion. Any further motions or discussion or questions, committee? Representative Nelson.
Thank you, Chairman, for discussion.
Yes, please.
My concern with the bill,
Sorry, Representative, do you have a question for the sponsor, or do you just
my
you want to
bad.
debate?
I have just discussion and debate since we had a motion on the floor.
Oh, okay. Are there any further questions for the sponsor?
Mr. Chairman, I've got a question.
Representative
Chairman
Gardner.
Pickett, Representative Hawkins, you just bring up, and it came into my mind, you said you don't know why. Have you thought about having an OPE study done on this to see why they aren't being able to fill these?
Representative Hawkins.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Gardner, that has not occurred to me, but when you ask that question, we have an issue. I don't think that this is a knee-jerk reaction. I think that we're seeking to give small communities an avenue. So I don't know that having review and process and pushing this further and further down the line aids anyone. So I have not done that. I would say that if we move forward with this and the body approves, then that could be something that could be done in conjunction with this that could give us some more answers, but no.
Further questions for the sponsor, Representative Sauter.
Mr. Chair and Representative Hawkins, I'm confused. Does the apprenticeship program, or is that process, is it in place now with our universities or the state board or Department of Ed? Has that already been squared away and it's ready to go?
Representative Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Sauter, not to my knowledge. I know the Department of Education has been looking at some ideas. I don't know if they have one in place. There was an opportunity for a sit down that hasn't occurred yet, so I can't answer that correctly. I know that if it's in place, we're not seeing the results. So,
Representative Clow.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and question
Yes, please.
for Representative Hawkins. I kind of like the idea of this apprenticeship program, but one of the questions that crossed my mind is, we talk about a rural school district, so it's possible that we could have an apprentice superintendent and an apprentice principal. Who's mentoring who? And is there any restrictions for that combination?
Representative Hawkins.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Cloud, great question. I'm not sure I have the answer. I don't know. I guess there could be that rare situation where these gaps coincide and they might have to reach into another area to get the right fit as far as who's apprentices. Right now as it stands, this is still all got to be monitored through the universities. There's no disconnect from the education process other than some things that can be done in the apprenticeship program versus just spending the time other places. So I guess I don't have a good answer for you, Representative.
As a follow-up to that, Representative Hawkins, I would ask, they still have to be sponsored by the district.
That is correct.
Thank you. Further questions, committee? Seeing none, then Representative Hawkins, if you'd like to, I guess, either take your seat and